Once again, this is the Ghetto Free Press, and I'm Joe at Boss Rhymes, and I'm once again in the city of Gordon. Today is March the 31st, 2015. Yesterday I was in Jacksonville, Florida, down there with the young man that was shot 4 times, and well, the rest of that is history by a police officer. We go to these events and we cover them because I'm called to do so. I don't know why, but I respond to the places where I'm called. And I was called to Jacksonville yesterday, and I went to Jacksonville. But today I'm in Gordon. They had a call meeting just a few minutes ago, and I came down here to cut a video in front of the Great Seal of the city of Gordon. I've been covering this city for at least about 15 months now. And tonight's meeting, they did not have a quorum. Councilman Densley, Councilman Edie, and Councilman Smallwood was no shows tonight on a very important issue, as you will see. I'm not here to criticize anyone. All I'm going to say to you is that sooner or later, the Ghetto Free Press will be putting together a video with how these 3 council members vote the same way all the time, how they sit as if though there is a coalition between them to circumvent the upward mobility of the city. Now, I am not going to make that statement alone. So if you think that I am picking or criticizing anyone, I want you to just look at the video, weigh what you see, and what your intelligent mind will prove to your conscience. Other words, I'm not making a statement that I cannot prove with videos. I'm going to clip just the vote, the motions, the second, and the count, including who have stalled and circumvented the upward mobility and the approval of the minutes, as well as the forensic audit moving forth. All of this have been recorded, just like tonight's meeting. I'm going to be quiet. We're going inside. You're going to see, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story. And I want you to take notice. This would have been a public city council meeting for Gordon had the 3 elected officials by the voters showed up. Now, it's dealing with drinking water, not sewage water. It's about drinking water, and it's about the people that was voted into office by the people of Gordon. I want you to also notice, just notice who interrupt the meetings tonight. And this is not my opinion. This is not me criticizing. I want you to see where the disruption came from tonight. Then I'm going to do another video. I'm working on it now. All the disruptions at Gordon City Council meeting. I'm not putting all of that together. I have somebody at Valdosta State University working with me, because hopefully this is going to be done professionally by a professional person. Because it is indeed time, as you will hear Elijah talk about, it's time now for the city of Gordon to move on, so they can get industry in here, so they can get some jobs in here, so they can get the streets paid in certain areas of this little small town. Now look, not at me. No, don't look at me. The next video, the Ghetto Free Press. We report what others ignore. Watch and see how many other news media you see in City Council. Peace. Wednesday, March 31st, 2015, in Gordon, Georgia, the Ghetto Free Press. Tonight will be a Gordon City Council meeting, a call meeting here in the city of Gordon, and of course, the Ghetto Free Press is here because you have a right to know. Let's go inside.
Mayor, before you start, I want to object to the notice for the call meeting. Because it was not a location noted on the call meeting, and I consider this a special meeting, and I want that on the record tomorrow.
City of Gordon, call meeting, council agenda.
Mayor, if there's not a quorum, you cannot open the meeting.
Excuse me.
I want that on the record too
This
tomorrow.
is not a call meeting.
That's what it says. You notified everybody that it's a call meeting, Mayor.
The mere fact of the matter is that it was a call meeting, but due to the fact, we've just started, and it takes 4 to make a quorum.
That's true.
So if 4 are not here present, then it cannot be called, we cannot hold a meeting.
That's correct.
But, and we don't need response from the audience. It would be nice if everybody would just sit and be attentive as adults are. So because of it not being we cannot have a quorum, the simple fact would be that we were here to discuss the situation with the water. And
It's not a meeting.
this is not a meeting, so you can excuse yourself. And this discussion is very critical because it demands our most urgent attention and action. And we have until the 10th of April to comply with EPA's regulation.
What's gonna happen? So?
Council,
There's no
Ripple has
council
done a
here,
great
Mayor.
job in.
There's no council here, Mayor, it's
Yeah.
not a quorum. You cannot call this
G.B.R.
council. This is not a meeting.
It's just a public talking, that's all it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, just
Thank you.
discussion.
Thank you, Chief.
Take that off the record, it's not a meeting.
Go ahead. You, Councilwoman Woodford, you've done such a.
Oh, well, yesterday, just that, well, we're not having a meeting, just, tell you that yesterday, I was under the impression that 4 council members would be here because they did give me their intake that they would be here, and I knew that one of them wasn't gonna come, but the other was supposed to be here, so we just can't have a meeting. They're
Where's
not
the
here.
woman that was supposed to be here?
Is we can't have a meeting if we don't have 4 council people here. And so,
She can still talk to us.
what woman?
What woman, she told me it was a woman coming from the EPD today.
Oh, well, I don't know about the woman that's supposed to be
You
coming.
remember that, Miss
But-
Premier?
But even if you could have asked some questions, but since she's not here and nobody showed up, so and we don't have enough to have a meeting, we don't have 4 council people here, then so, what time is it? Well, we give them 5 more minutes, I guess, and see if they don't come. If they don't come, that was the importance, and I just wanted everybody to know that what we was trying to do about taking care of the city business as far as the water is concerned.
Could I ask, what is it that the EPD is saying that the city has to do, and what are the consequences April 10th if they're not satisfied?
I'm sorry, call you council. Mr. Lawrence, would you please come on down and address his question?
What was the question?
What is it the EPD is not satisfied with, and what are the consequences on April the 10th if we don't do what they demand?
The significant deficiencies are the water leaks that was at the well the day they showed up to do the inspection. And one of the biggest things is the abandonment of 2 wells. One which we don't use anymore, and the other, years back, they drilled a new well, but they didn't abandon the old one. So that's the other. Okay, the deadline that I've heard is May 15th to have the significant deficiencies dealt with. And then if they haven't been dealt with by the 15th of May, then the fines will be levied against the city, until they are corrected.
And how much?
Are those things, threat to the health?
No, sir.
Things like they're drinking water every day, open up.
Yes, sir, because we still sending monthly water samples to the state.
Well, we can repair things.
These are mostly repair maintenance kind of things.
The meeting today, do you wanna get that hand first, or what? The meeting was supposed to be about, we are not having a meeting today. But the meeting, the purpose that if we were gonna have a meeting today, is that we need to vote, because we need to take a vote to get somebody back in, to a qualified person to check our water samples. And that was the purpose, that we would vote today to do that. The council would discuss it, but council's not here, so we cannot discuss it. But that was our main purpose for this meeting, was to get council together. And like I said, I went out personally on my own, and I got 4 people to come in. 4 councilmen that said that, 4, including myself, that said that we would come in and discuss this because time is of an essence, and it is not not the deficiencies.
So
We just want somebody to do
So
it.
Monday, when the regular meeting would not have been soon enough?
Monday would really be pushing it this day, because our deadline is that we have to have it in by the 10th.
That's not what Melvin just said.
Melvin is talking about the deficiencies,
Okay.
and I'm talking about,
Water samples have to be in by the 10th, Melvin?
The water samples have to be in by the 10th, which I do the water samples. There seems to be an issue as far as signing off on the actual paperwork to the state, and that's like for the number of gallons we pump each day, the amount of chemicals we put in the water. Those are in the reports, and those have to be signed off by someone that's certified.
and that's why we are here today. We want to get somebody that
Well, Terry, George is still certified, isn't he?
As far as I know,
What did he do?
Well, things like that, what's your name?
Mary.
Miss Mary. Things like that is things that we would have discussed today had the council came on in, because Monday is the 6th. And we had someone, the Georgia rule that we had already, voted on, you
I know
remember?
she's coming up because I was gonna be here today.
Okay, but
No,
Georgia
not
Rule has called and
Said.
and Mr. Edie was invited to the
Meeting,
to the thing that
discussion.
the discussion that Melvin and I also listened in on, and
He said it was out.
he wasn't available, he couldn't come. And so Georgia Rule told us that they could not come until the 8th and the 9th to do inspection. So what we're here today for really were to try to get somebody in on this and could we bring Mr. Holland back, because Georgia Rule could not, and they said they had to come and inspect us
First,
before they could check off on the sample.
Yeah, well, still why George couldn't do it.
But right now, we could have discussed that if he had, if council had been here.
I
Council
think
did
that's
not,
been discussed previously too, though,
yeah.
the
But
possibility.
he
of
didn't,
it.
I heard him say one night he would do
And see,
it.
but that was why we need all councils here to discuss this. We don't need to wait, we don't need to wait till the 8th or the 9th, because Georgia Rule has already told us that they can't come in. Suppose they come in and find something, and then you gotta have this in by the 10th. What can you do on the 9th? Can you sign it? You think they're gonna sign it if they see something? So
You
what
do
we
it
need
just
to as
as
do,
quick by
we
then as
need
you
to
would
get,
from
I'm
today.
hiring
we
somebody
need to
to
get,
do it.
we need to get, well, that was, well, Mr. Holland had, I'm glad you understand.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Holland had said that he would sign off for us again. And so, but we have to take it through council. We can't make that decision by ourselves.
Right.
Council's not here, we can't make the decision.
So I
But
guess
we
it
just,
works for
but we are working on it. We, Monday, we trying to get it, we trying to, suppose Monday something go wrong. We need to start on this, we need to start on this as early as possible.
Let's do it
So-
Monday.
Well, this,
So
I mean,
today-
y'all are already in the 11th hour.
Today is Tuesday. You don't have much more time to work on this, so you need to get on this. You have Monday, but okay, Monday is the 6th. And we really need to discuss this. We really need to discuss this. And I personally, like I said, talked with councils, and they did tell me that they would be here, then they tell the clerk something else. So we don't know if you
So
say
you
you're
know
gonna
why
do
the
this today,
lady's
you're gonna
not
do this
here that's
tomorrow.
coming and discussing?
Those people
She
said they were
can
gonna
still
do it.
discuss with us.
Teresa, if you remember correctly, you and Barbara missed about 8 or 9 meetings in a row last summer.
No, ma'am, we did not.
We're not here to discuss about if you're gonna print something in your paper,
Yes,
I
ma'am,
really
I am.
appreciate that you would not put untruth in there. Please put the truth in there. I missed 2 meetings. Thank you.
And so did I, 3 at the most.
No, ma'am.
Well, that
You all, listen, one at a time, we can all sing together, but we cannot all
But that's not
talk
the purpose
together.
of
And that's not the
being here
purpose
now,
of this meeting.
because this is a
Exactly.
critical thing.
It's not a
And I think you
meeting.
got another hand.
This is a discussion. Go ahead, we have another hand.
I would like to know, are we gonna be breaking the law if we do not get this handled? And I wanna know, what is the fine, what's the penalty? How much money is it gonna cost the city? Since, we be talking about money all the time, I wanna know how much it's gonna cost the city, the fine is. That's what I wanna know.
Can you address that, Mr.?
Not with any certainty. I've just been told by Ms. Tyler that, fines would be levied for all the deficiencies that is not dealt with by the 15th. As far as the money amount, I haven't been told. I've heard rumors, but
What is your room?
well, the rumors are, I've heard anywhere from 10,000 up.
Exactly.
And so we
Well,
got
are you
this
gonna be
money
able to
on
fix
this
it
kind
by
of-
next week?
He cannot fix it.
As far as the biggest thing on the significant deficiency are the well abandonment, those 2. And the estimate I got on those are $8,800 a piece. And they're telling me that we don't have money in water and sewer to take care of that, so, or in the budget. So I don't know. I can't do it without resources.
Right. So you need to get contract in.
Yes, yes,
Somebody like
yes.
that.
So you pay $10,000 fine, or you pay $8,800 to make the repair
Right, per well.
per well?
But right now, we are not really talking about the repair.
Right. We're talking about the sign off, the
On
monitoring,
samples.
and
On the
exactly,
samples.
of the samples, that's
They're
right.
due the 5th, the 10th?
By the 10th.
10th of April.
Eight
By
to
the
the
10th.
10th.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And we don't wanna wait till the last minute.
Well, this administration has been in place for over a year. Why are we waiting until 10 days before to address such a serious problem? I mean, if it's been a problem and you've been aware of the problem, this entire
Okay, Ms.
administration has
Robinson,
been in place. Why are we waiting? Because, I mean, if it is a serious
Okay,
issue, I mean,
Ms.
why are
Robinson.
we? Yes,
Okay,
yes.
what happened is that we was just notified about this last
December the
week.
11th.
No,
That's when the letter came.
no.
I have it right here.
Okay, you talking about the deficiency.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not talking about the deficiency. That's what, you talking about two different things.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. And that, you know, when we was here at the previous council meeting, and they said that, and we voted that Georgia Rule would come to the water for us free. So Georgia Rule Water called us back, called the mayor back. Melvin and I sit in on it. We tried to get Terry in on it too, but he was unavailable. And they said that they could not do it unless we could not sign off unless we get unless we have, help me out a little bit, Mayor. Unless we, they could not do it until the 8th of the 9th of April. But we gotta have it in by the 10th.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
they gotta come in and do an inspection. You know, so that's why we need to get this taken care of.
But I understand that, but my question is.
It hadn't been a year. It was last week.
No, I'm not saying it's been a year, I'm saying we've been aware of this, we've talked about this water issue at several meetings. I mean,
We
it's
talked
been,
about the
it's been at least
we
a
talked
couple of
about
months.
we
since
talked about the
we've been-
deficiency.
And we talked about who was gonna sign off on the samples.
Exactly.
Yes, we
It's
did.
been-
Well, we did that at not the meeting before that. We did. That's who was gonna sign off on the sample.
I'm not
And
saying.
so, but they don't call us not saying that they can't sign them off until they do an inspection.
Exactly.
I'm
And
not
they
saying
cannot
it's
do
been a
an
year.
I
inspection
understand what you're
until
saying.
the
I
8th of the
understand.
9th.
Right.
And we got to have the samples in by
Let me
the 10th.
say this,
Yes,
council.
ma'am.
So what we came here today for
Exactly.
was to have a meeting so that council can vote. We got a person in place
We got
that
her.
would come in and do it. We just needed council here today to vote.
Is that the one
And
that
that's it.
$11,000?
No, it wasn't not, it's not that.
That was
And
one of
we
his
were gonna discuss
proposals,
all
but
of
let
that
me say
today.
this, prior to our coming in, this administration coming in, and you all are acting, but you're not acting on the right information.
That's all
And
they might
this
not have.
this is what I'm trying to give to you, the proper information, in and everything that you want. It's here at the city hall. And we don't know everything. I'm like you all, I'm just as surprised. But when I came in, this is totally off the monitoring system that she's talking about now to address what you're saying. I said this years ago, I mean, not years ago, excuse me, but before I came into office and after coming into office, this was brought to my attention by constituents that really knew about the water system and said our water system need to be addressed. We've got systems that are outdated and all of this, and so reliable sources in this community. And brought that to my attention, said, Mayor, you need to address this. And I said, I'll do whatever it is I can do. So finally, not knowing that this would come to fruition a year later, we're in, ladies and gentlemen, this is your life. This is not talking about your life, which involves your livelihood too. But this water system is serious. I've gone to the regional commission saying, let's put aside these differences. Let's address, this is serious than what you all think.
Well, let me
Let me-
Now, wait just a minute. Let me say this, and if you all want to know, call up to, and I've got the information that I can make available to you all, the 31 deficiencies, even though we're not here to discuss that.
You know,
But-
you told me yesterday you was gonna give me that lady's number.
I will give
And
you
you
her,
didn't do
but
it.
let me say this, Mary, Miss Etheridge. Let me say this, and you came in and you did ask questions, and I like that. And I said, based on, she said, and Mr. Lawrence can attest to this, she's gone above and beyond giving us information, has she not, Mr. Lawrence?
Yes, ma'am.
She's not supposed to do this. She's trying to help us and help him. We don't have anybody to sign off on this water.
Well, why didn't
Who
you
signed
come
off on
today?
it last month?
She has to go through her boss.
Who signed off on it
Well,
last
I mean,
month?
she already asked me about it.
No, ma'am.
Because
It
you
don't
said
work
she
on
was
that.
coming.
I said I would contact her, and I did.
No, you didn't tell me that.
But I can't tell you everything because it was not.
It's nothing secret.
No, this is not about.
You could just say, I'm not for
We
sure.
got listen. Okay, now.
And that's the only thing we came here to do.
Listen,
Can I
you all.
answer my question before y'all keep on asking questions? Can we do
Thank
that?
you.
Please, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
what I'm saying to you is that about this is a whole different matter, just as what she is saying, talking about. Right now, it's crucial that we've got to meet this deadline of having this sign off. Now, Mr. Holland, who knows about this, who has worked with him, has said that he's willing to come back and with counsel. Now, with all this being said and done, at the previous meeting, they said that, the engagement letter, I said, well, if we gotta get into engagement letters and start, I'm willing to start this, because we need to do things in decency and in order. But prior to my coming in, I looked and asked for the contract and the engagement letter with Mr. Holland. There was none.
Well, if he did it last month, and he did it in February, he did it in February.
No, he didn't sign off
They
in
did it
February.
in February, January, they do it a month behind.
Okay, so
So they-
who's been signing off on it up until this point?
Mr. Holland.
Mr. Holland.
And so
Then why
Georgia
can't
rule.
he do it for
Let
this
me
next
say this,
one?
Ms.
This-
Evans, and I'm
Daisy.
glad you said this.
I'm concerned.
Okay, go ahead, go
Miss
ahead.
Daisy, Miss Daisy, what he said, he will do it for us. But since we had voted on Georgia rule, we
Right.
got to vote to get Holland back. He has been doing it previously. And that's the only thing we was here today for, is to get the council votes that John Holland can come back. Because if we wait on Georgia rule,
Well,
they can't do it until the night.
I remember
So it's
the
no
meeting,
time.
right, when there was a lot of
That's the only
discussion,
thing.
and Terry even then said, well, why can't John Holland keep doing it? We
No,
just-
no. Terry did not vote for that. And I, because Georgia Rule Water said they would come and do it free.
Right.
And
And
so
when y'all
we did
voted
not
for
vote.
that-
We voted on Georgia,
Right.
Mr. Densley made the motion.
Right.
And we voted on Georgia
Rule.
Rule Water. Now, last week, in the middle of the week, Georgia Rule Water calls and say,
Before they can go
Mayor,
further.
myself and the mayor, and like I said, we tried to get Mr. Eda in on it.
Yes, ma'am.
He called and said, they called and said that they cannot do it. I asked them a question. They could not, do it unless they come certified. They could not sign off unless
Before
they
the
came and
inspection.
checked our system. I said, well, when can you come? He said, I can't come to the 8th or 9th. I said, you can't come no further, no quicker than that. I said, because why didn't y'all tell us this? We've been asking y'all been knowing this about 4 weeks.
Exactly.
So why didn't y'all tell us this thing? He didn't, no answer. I said,
And this
well,
is a
if the
private
8th or
company.
the 9th come,
Georgia Rural Water.
Georgia Rule Water.
And it's a private
And if the ninth,
Oh.
and if the ninth come, and you come in and you find something, or whatever,
Right.
then
How
we
you
messed
gonna get it
up.
fixed?
That's all
Not
we-
that.
So that's the only thing that we
Not that we're
wanted,
trying
that's the only thing that council was supposed to be here today for. We could have been in and out
Out
of
of
here
here.
in 5 minutes.
That's the answer to my question.
We was here, we could
That's
have
all.
been in and out of here in 5 minutes. The only thing we want to do is to get their approval to let Mr. Holland come back. And no, it was not no $11,000. He did say that on
He
some
proposed that,
paper.
but let me say
Proposed
that-
But he did, the price.
He was the one that came
Wait,
in
no,
a
Let me
couple
say
of weeks ago
this,
and gave a
Ms. Bailey,
presentation about what he could do.
exactly, and let me, not only that, what he did in the beginning, now, mind you, this is before our administration. He had a phone call, I think the mayor, and I have it in writing, the mayor directed Mr. Lawrence to negotiate with him because they only was gonna use him for what, 6 months?
Georgia Rural,
No, Southern Water.
so that's another company?
No, exactly, the
Mr.
same
Holland
guy,
is with
Mr.
us.
John Holland.
That's
John
Mr.
Holland
Holland's
had been doing all of
Okay.
this, and Mr. Holland, like anybody else, after the new administration, said that with the insurance and everything, and he's also given us information that the federal guidelines have said that he can no longer continue without, with going the way he was going, because coming in and certifying a
Like
system
month
that's
to month
already
and not doing anything else.
broken, you see what I'm saying?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
so that's what we're doing, we're just trying
We
to get
just,
on
we
the
just
right
wanted
track.
to be here 5 minutes.
Exactly. That's what
council
this
vote
all
on that.
being all
And
blown
I-
out of
and I see
proportion.
nothing
You
wrong
all
with
need to
it,
get the facts. And we're not.
Well, can't you just, we're here.
Okay, wait just a
You won't answer our questions.
I've been trying. I've been
Well,
trying,
today,
but let me
but
say,
any other time
but
you
any
have.
other time, Ms. Baylor, I don't mind answering anything you've got to put out
You
there.
told me
But let me
before
say
that
this,
I ever
now this
approached
needs to be
you
between
again,
you and
I'd
me.
be arrested.
Let's don't add the dirty laundry before the council. Now, if it's anything
Everybody
between
knows
you and
that.
me, I'm not gonna address, all of this now. We're here to address this water issue, so if you've got any beef it with the mayor. And you and I can have
You
dialogue.
won't take my
No,
calls or reach
I
out?
will do it, I will do it.
Oh, okay, and your
Okay.
convenience when you want to do it.
No,
When it's
well,
something you wanna talk about.
okay, well, let
Okay,
it
we
be
trying
that.
to keep the city up going.
Exactly, now come on,
And
now,
we
you've
just-
been a
and like I
journalist,
said,
you're
we
supposed
just
to know
wanted
that.
that
Yes,
one
ma'am,
thing.
28 years I have
And-
never
okay.
seen the
And
ridiculous.
I
Okay.
personally.
Let's just get back to the basic question.
Exactly.
Get back to the basic question.
Come on now, Ms. Bailey. So that's solid.
Don't stare at me. Turn around. You don't need to stare at me.
I'd like to ask a question. We've been told
Mayor,
that a
please ask her not to
citizen
I can't do that because they do it to me.
this, and this is what got me.
It's
I'm
like,
not the mayor,
it's
They
like,
gave
but
us
you,
names of this citizen that called,
so I deserve
and
respect
you know what I'm
too.
talking about, this
We all
citizen
do.
that called
thank you.
and everything and complained about it, and this is what, he ought to have to pay for.
But we pay for what?
Pay for the repair,
What I
whatever wells,
understand.
because
Oh,
all
okay,
these
but we're
years
not-
that's
okay,
been
I
okay until
understand.
this citizen called and
I
upset
understand
him,
what
and
you're
then
saying,
now,
but
this
what we're
blown
talking
up
about is two
portion.
different things.
The
We're talking about getting somebody's time.
My understanding.
Y'all, let's keep
List
it.
of
Ms. Bailey,
deficiencies.
okay, good. But what we need to do is keep this confined to what we're not here to discuss the deficiencies. And with
Well, I think we
that,
discussed it. I think
Okay.
it's discussed inside and out.
okay, but
There's
come
no
on.
meeting, y'all can't vote.
With the level of intelligence, and I think we all are intelligent. I like to think that I am and you are too. So what we're need to do is allow, is there any other questions, Miss?
We can't vote.
We cannot vote. We can't vote. So you all let that be known. But this is a discussion. So, but I will say this, that if we don't get us,
We didn't have enough to come, so we might as well.
That's
exactly.
right. I agree.
So, no, we're ready to.
Can I ask a question, please? Mayor, could you tell me why you didn't put the money in your 2015 budget to do the repairs that are needed?
Repairs that are needed.
Yes, the ones that.
Let me say this, I've got a gentleman here that when you meet him, when council votes to accept that engagement letter, it's gonna blow your mind.
Who is that?
He's going to
I
have,
asked you why.
let me say this, based on what has been, given to us with the regional commission, there are going to be grants and all of that money that's going to be available.
He's just going to do a survey of the water system.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, well, we'll have to go by what he said. Okay. Well, you have to direct,
$35,000
okay,
and he's
we've
gonna
answered the
pay
question,
for it.
and then,
Okay, we have completed what we was here for,
exactly.
and nobody.
No, I ain't got to answer my question.
Well, I
Why didn't you put that in your
answered
budget?
it to
You're
the best,
responsible for the
I've
budget.
answered that to the
You
best
got
of my
budget,
ability.
you got somebody to
I've
do it for
answered that to
you.
the best
You
of
don't
my
have money.
ability. Good evening,
You're not doing your job, man.
good evening, thank you.
Don't know how.
Councilwoman Whipple. I want to thank you for setting it straight and making us know the difference between the.
People quit choosing people running was it woman you love? What are you gonna do? And you gonna be brother
Well, we ain't dead yet after all this year, so.
Come on, Fluffy. Check it out here. Oh, it's a mess.
How you doing, George? Good, bro.
Thanks, Pete. Have a good one.
That's what I'm saying. She came back here to start that mess because she knew they wasn't coming down.
Nobody care if, they don't like each other, they ain't gonna be down here for. We ain't trying to make no.
Anybody want to give a statement about what they think happened today at the meeting?
It was just.
I'd be glad to.
Yeah.
Shake my husband's statement. Shut up.
what was your take on the meeting tonight? Well, it wasn't a meeting, but the discussion.
Discussion to me was, it's unorganized. We have to bring this city together. Our leaders supposed to be the one that's protecting the city. And I mean protecting it financially and its citizens. And for them not to unite themselves. It ain't about the media, it's not about the citizen, it's about them. They the one who's responsible for this city. And anybody with common sense can realize if you love a city, which we supposed to, I don't have to love each and every citizen, but love your city enough to do what's right for your city. And for them not to come to this meeting to vote on having stuff repaired in this city, keeping from costing us as taxpayers more money and fine just to make the mayor look bad, that's not the way you operate a city. You're dealing with professional people, and you gotta be professional. You gotta put your bickering aside. We done went through this last year, and now we're going through another year with this same bickering between one another. Do they actually think that people are pleased with that? You got some people that don't say nothing, don't come out to these meetings, but still these people count. They live here, but they don't like to see what's going on in the city. So it ain't no black and white thing anymore, it's our city, and that's what it stands for. And when they find out you gotta love where you live at, that's time for you to come together. I ain't gotta love you, I ain't gotta hug you, but I do have to live here. And why we can't live in peace and harmony? Because our leaders would not reunite. And the thing about it, it's a woman operating this city. This city is not good for that. Some men does not want to go under what a woman leadership is. But we gotta learn that a woman is equal to a man no matter what. And regardless of it, we live here. So it's time for them to just unite themselves, get themselves together, and put God in their heart, and let them realize we gotta have peace. Everybody know this city as something bad. This city should be something nice. People should be advertising, saying it's a good community. Look at how they handling things. But every time you turn the media on, it's down in this city. Gordon this is Gordon that. Could anybody say anything nice about Gordon? Anything. Just say it. Even if I like the media to say, you see that beautiful tree Gordon is growing down there? Let somebody hear something good about Gordon. Because ain't nothing being said about this city, and it's wrong. And our leaders have that power to make these changes. They have that power. We can talk and do this and do that, but we can't make changes. They are empowered to make changes. The changes that we can make is at the voting poll. And if we don't get out here and find out what's going on in our city, listen to Tom, Dick, and Harry, what he says going on, educate yourself. Don't let nobody else think for you. I'm not going to let my leaders think for me. I'm going to get out here and I'm going to find out what's going on in my city, and I'm going to voice my opinion. And I'm voicing it now. They should be ashamed of themselves. All of them. I ain't just speaking on 2 or 3, 4 or 5. All of them should be completely ashamed of themselves.
What's your name again?
Elijah Simmons.
Elijah Simmons, how do you think the people would feel if more people would speak up like you just did? What I hear here is I hear a lot of street talk. But when it comes down to standing before the TV camera or standing before this camera, which will be seen, not only by people in Gordon, but across the Secretary of State, Brian P. Kemp, Eric Holder, the Justice Department, they all watch my videos. They know me well. They have to, because I'm not just dealing with this. And so now, with the big picture being prevalent across the world about Gordon, why do you think that Governor Nathan Deal, Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, Sam Olens, and the Justice Department, as well as the civil rights organizations, they know what's going on in Gordon and 10 other cities, and yet we don't get no help from the state level? So short form, what do you think about that?
Well, this is only my opinion, but we done been dealing with a corrupt society so long. They set in their own way of doing things. One that agrees this hand, one that agrees this hand. So it's up at a higher level. The governor I believe of Georgia, he has someone he has to answer to also. So we can bring it back to when racial equality, when we first addressed it, and see how far we done got with it. You know, until some people stands up and just realize, I don't care how high you are, what kind of position that you hold, your position doesn't make you. What you have to do is look at the overall picture, and that's right from wrong. Study what right and wrong mean. Now, I don't care how small you are or how big you are. You still no better than the little guy. If you the biggest one, you ain't no better than that little one. You gotta learn to treat people and anyone else that you deal with as an equal to you. You know, you don't look down at nobody, and you don't. Only person I say I look up higher to, I look up to my God. That's the only person I feel. So for us to let things happen the way they are, I'm just gonna tell you, it's corruption. You know, it's gotta be straightened out, and it needs to be straightened out at the highest level. You know, from our governor and even higher. And the government go even much higher than the president. The president only allowed to do but so much. We got Congress, they need changing. Everything need a changing, but it takes time. But people don't open their mouth because they're afraid. Most of them is afraid of change. And most of them is afraid in God, and I'm gonna tell you, of retaliation. But retaliation comes in two forms. You know, in order for you to have a war, you gotta have two people bickering. So if you got one bickering and the other one ain't bickering, usually you'll diffuse the situation. And most of the time what happening in Gordon is that it'll be diffused behind the fact that people won't say what they really wants to say. Because some of them afraid of retaliation, and some of them just feel that, you know, if I don't shake the boat, everything will be all right.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I appreciate what you are doing, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Mr.
Educate America.
Thank you, my beautiful brother.
All right.
Anybody else?
I'm doing you right, baby, when I'm doing you right. Yeah, I bought you a car, house, and a diamond ring, and you're acting like I haven't done a thing. I wanna know how can you do me wrong when I'm doing you right?
The prosecution changed the wording on the ballots to prosecute Lula Smart. The language was not there in 2010. They changed it on the ballot to make it look like she was guilty. The prosecution suppressed evidence.
Yes, sir.
They hid evidence.
Show they did. I'm a witness.
They did. Show them. Speak it. Tell the truth.
I believe that we ought to demand, as concerned citizens,
Yes.
that they drop the charges on every remaining member.
Yeah.
Mr. Joe Winkett and Mr. Howard Lawson find nothing wrong with this. They find nothing wrong with this. How much can one community endure to have the right to have our votes cast and counted for who we want to represent us?
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation lied on the stand.
That's right.
Falsified documents.
That's right.
The Secretary of State lied on the stand. Boone from the post office, who started this whole mess, lied on the stand. All to try to make these citizens look guilty.
David Miller, he was caught on perjury. On the stand. You have the old voter registration lady, what she was taking ballots home. And once those ballots come in, those voters, absentee ballots come in the office, they're supposed to be up on the lock and key. You're not supposed to be taking them home. You can add a fourth person in there because she and her granddaughter helped them with it.
These people's names have been tarnished, their reputation besmirched. They have been talked about, accused of different things, and now they are proven innocent. How are you going to get the horse back in the... How will you restore these people good name and reputation?
This is the Ghetto Free Press, and I'm George Boston Rhines, and I just received the breaking news that we have a new mayor in Quitman, Georgia. Much like the Quitman 10+2, Nancy Dennard being the first president of the Brooks County Board of Education, and now we have James Brown III, the first Black African-American mayor of Quitman, Georgia.
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation lied on the stand.
That's right.
Falsified documents.
That's right.
The Secretary of State lied on the stand.
In the first trial, 3 of the prosecution key witnesses was all found, I ain't gonna say found guilty, was all 3 of them was guilty of something, one thing or another. You had the, what's his name, the district attorney here?
David Miller.
David Miller. He was caught on perjury. On the stand. You have the old voter registration lady. What she was doing, she was taking ballots home with her. The post office. And once those ballots come in, those voters, absentee ballots come in the office, they're supposed to be up on the lock and key. You're not supposed to be taking them home. You can add a fourth person in there because she had her granddaughter helping her with it.
Our attorney, Attorney King, had the opportunity to cross-examine the star witness of the prosecution, Mr. Boone of the United States Post Office. Mr. Boone testified that he had collected the names of and written the names of individuals that mailed in an absentee ballot. This is in violation of his charge and his oath as an officer of the United States Postal Service. I don't want my postman going through my mail and recording who I'm getting mail from. I don't expect my mailman to be recording who I'm sending my Christmas cards to. This is a free country. This is the United States of America. We don't spy on each other in this country. But what he was doing doesn't hold up to the light of day. He presented a list that he swore to of 15 names that he swore would put in post office collection box all at the same time. And he swore by one person. Well, very interestingly, upon cross-examination, it was shown in black and white on the return envelope for absentee ballots that one was sent in with a date of July 5th, 2010, and one on a date of July 15th. He had previously testified that every ballot that came in was immediately stamped that day by the local Quitman post office and expeditiously delivered to the registrar of voters here from Brooks County. There were 10 days between the receipt of these two envelopes that he had sworn he recorded on the same day at the same time being deposited by the same person. As the defense attorney said, that is a lie. It was proven to the jury, the judge, and all in the courtroom. These postmarked return envelopes showed the dates of July 5 and July 10, respectively. Those aren't recorded on the same day. Beyond this, that opened a can of worms that the defense attorney has exposed that the prosecution does not have. Of those 15 ballots, they have but 2 of the originals. The other 12 are missing. They are unable to produce them. They brought out all the materials they contend that the prosecution has. Put the boxes out, let the defense attorneys go through them. That's all we have, and these documents are not in there. The original documents that he is making these salacious charges on are non-existent. The chief case agent of the G.B.R. testified that she picked up many, many boxes from the election office here in Brooks County.
Ms. Braswell.
That is correct. Ms. Braswell testified. She also testified as an agent of the G.B.R. that she turned over every bit, all of that material to the prosecution. All that's remaining today are what look to me like 3-4 small boxes of some evidence, some pieces of paper. The prosecutor is even admitting that they probably won't be able to find the originals. The judge has ordered them to produce the originals by the convening of court, in this case the next day on Tuesday. It is highly unlikely after all this. They have looked before. They will not find originals. They know they are not producible. Why do originals that are being used to tarnish the reputation and exposed to convictions of innocent people, why does that evidence suddenly totally disappear? And beyond that, the list that the registrar would have of individuals applying for these absentee ballots has disappeared. There is no record that these individuals, who the postal employee claims all mailed in their ballot on the same day, came in the same stack at the identical time, they never show on the records of having received a ballot. The ballots are dated by the post office itself 10 days apart. This is a miscarriage of justice in the state of Georgia that cannot be overlooked. The Secretary of State and the Governor have made it very purposeful that they will send the message that if you are African American and if you run for office and if you honestly win the election, you will be punished. The Governor, the Secretary of State are trying to intimidate and suppress the African American vote since they know if the 400,000 registered African Americans in the state of Georgia that did not vote in the last election cycle come out and exercise a right that people have died for, the right to vote. If the African American community and all people of color exercise their constitutional right to vote, it will mean the demise of this white privileged aristocracy here in Georgia. That is not American. That is not worthy of the state of Georgia. This prosecution is a travesty. The prosecutors, the Secretary of State, the Governor should be called out on what they have done to these women and called to publicly apologize for the 4 years that they have put them under this scrutiny and this character assassination. So that's how I feel about today.
Thank you very much. This is the Ghetto Free Press, just keeping it real. Once again, I want to appreciate you. You are a prime example, in my most humble opinion. While we cannot hate one another because of the skin color, it's not about skin color. It's about what is right and wrong. I think perhaps that Jesus put it best, and I put it in my own words: want for your neighbor that which you want, and have for yourself and your own children. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you.
Once again, this is the Ghetto Free Press, and I'm George Foster Ryans. And what's your name once again, my beautiful brother?
George, my name is Kevin Moran.
All right. And you're with the People's Agenda.
I'm with the Coalition of the People's Agenda, convened by Dr. Joseph E. Lowry.
All right. I want to ask you a few questions. Number one, I've been here. I missed Monday because I was up there with the newly elected black Mayor Ann Whipperloo, who's being mistreated, and I believe it all interrelated together.
Yes.
But I got here Tuesday, and I didn't see any news media here Tuesday. I didn't see any Wednesday. I didn't see any Thursday, and I didn't see any today. I didn't even see any of the news reporters. I haven't seen anything in the Valdosta Daily Times, a metropolitan city. I only saw a little snippet in the Equipment Free Press yesterday when I got that in my mailbox because I subscribed to the paper. But the question is, how do you think that the news media like CNN, MSNBC, even with Al Sharpton, can ignore or omit what is happening here in Brooks County, where we had hundreds of people to march here because this is a very, very high-profile case. Why do you think that the news media are not concerned about voting rights down here in South Georgia? Apparently because they're not here.
The mass media that you refer to is totally owned and operated by the white aristocracy in Georgia. And it is an inconvenient truth that equipment 10 plus 12 have been salaciously charged.
10 plus 2.
10 plus 2 with charges for crimes they did not commit, and it was proven today in court.
Okay. Another thing I want to ask you is that if you had not spoken out a little bit about what happened here today, I say that this information that took place in the courtroom outside of the transcript, which will be a matter of record for all eternity, I guess, but without that, the local citizens here in Quitman and Brooks County and all around South Georgia, they wouldn't know anything about it, because when the newspapers are written, which I call the archival record, when they read that in 30, 40 years in the schools require these students to do turn papers on the events of yesterday, they won't be able to retrieve that from the newspaper because it wasn't there.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
I think that's why it is essential that this word get out. And I've been fortunate 4 years ago, when you mentioned hundreds of us scattered here on the steps, to be traveling with an international representative of the Mennonite Church, who I contacted last night that this trial is still going on. He has learned the truth, and he is ashamed that the United States judicial system here in Quitman, Georgia, is lynching these 10 plus 2 for acts they never committed, and by the media intentionally, I really believe it is intentionally not being here.
Yes, sir.
It is an inconvenient truth what has been done here. For 4 years, these women and one man have been subjected to daily harangues, allegations by the G.B.R, put in jail because they won an election. They won an election to office that had previously been held by white males. And for the first time, we had African Americans of impeccable character and wonderful qualifications as educators elected to the school board. They've been elected 2 times since by the same plurality. This was not a fluke. This was not a manipulated election. This, unfortunately, for some, is the South of the future. Georgia will become a majority state of colored people. Our brothers and sisters in Christ will be represented. This is a democracy in the United States. We have fought for it. We are entitled to our rights of equality under the law. We haven't seen that here. And the media doesn't want to be telling that story because governors, heads of the GBI, secretaries of state will be criticizing them and exerting again power upon them. We're playing with some players that have great power and great audacity to use it. We need to stand up to them. We need to tell the truth. The truth needs to be told. And George, you are telling the truth. You are the only member of the press here today. And it's a privilege to have you here documenting the truth.
Moon from the post office, who started this whole mess, lied on the stand, all to try to make these citizens look guilty. The How you doing? First of all, I'd like to say that we commend the Whitman team plus 2 for the way they handled themselves during this. The thing about it that was so beautiful is that it was all of us. We had a wonderful team. Sister Louis Smart, Nancy Bennett, Mrs. Simmons from Atlanta, and Attorney King. They made those people look like amateurs.
Amen. Woo!
Let me give you a little background. But I'm so thankful to the Quitman 10 plus 2 that they did not take a plea bargain.
Amen.
Amen. If they had been convicted of one crime, that would have been a felony on their records, and they would have been messed up for life. My prayer to God was total exoneration, innocent on all counts, and God brought us through.
Sure did.
I want to give you a little background. On December 2010, 10 citizens of Quitman, Georgia were arrested and accused of voter fraud. These citizens was arrested, unceremoniously, put in orange jumpsuits, their names splattered all over the newspaper, the television, the radio, and this was only an indictment. An indictment is only an accusation. But yet these citizens were presumed guilty before there was even a trial. Amen. And we must understand that every citizen is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. When they was arrested, we thank God for the community that came together. And the first meeting was held at Bethlehem Church. We thank God for Bethel for opening their doors. I was the pastor there. We also like to thank our good friend Floyd Rose. Stand up. God always have people in place when you need them the most. He is a stalwart in the civil rights movement. He knew what to do. He even named the Quitman 10. Amen. He showed us how to get this movement organized. And we thank God for him. He's from the SCLC. Amen. We thank God for them and Tyrone Brooks coming down and helping us. Also, during this movement, the NAACP was started here. And that was to, there might be future cases that might come up, and we'll have an organization in place to make sure we can handle this situation. Now, the United States Constitution guarantees each person equal protection under the law. The United States Constitution guarantees that every person of our nation is presumed innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. The rights of these citizens were violated. Amen. Yes, and what angers me so is the fact that Sister Latasha Head died with these accusations hanging over her head. And yet there are still, with her, 11 people that still have to be tried. This case has been going on for 4 years. Now, you have to understand one thing, and that is, every person is entitled to a speedy trial. Their rights was violated. Now, why did it take over 4 years to bring these people to justice? Because they didn't have a case.
Right, right, right.
Amen.
That's right.
They were hoping that they would take the plea. But when they didn't do that, they had to prove their case. And if you were in the courtroom,
That's right.
you would have seen one of the biggest fiascos you ever seen in your life.
Oh, yes.
That's right.
Oh, yes.
The witnesses lied on the stand.
Yes, yes, yes.
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation lied on the stand.
That's right.
Yes.
Falsified documents.
That's right.
Yes.
The Secretary of State lied on the stand.
Yes, yes.
Bloom from the post office, who started this whole mess, lied on the stand.
Yes.
All to try to make these citizens look guilty. But thank God that we have a God who sits high.
Come on now.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
That's right.
The sad thing about this case is Governor D, who's the leader of the state of Georgia, left the state capital to come down here and suspend people who were elected to the school board.
Yes. Yes.
This election was certified
Yes, sir.
and without due process of law.
That's right.
Every person is entitled to due process of law.
Yes.
That's right.
But he's put it upon himself to suspend Dr. Nancy Denton, who has a doctor's degree.
Sir.
Sister Diane Thomas, who has a master's degree. Earned. And Sister Linda Troutman.
Yes, Lord.
They treated us like, you got to excuse me for saying us, because I feel I was just as angry as they were.
That's right. That's right.
Every citizen in Brooks County should have been angry
Upset.
Come on now.
Yes, sir.
for the way they treated our citizens.
Yes,
That's right.
sir.
But yet many people didn't get involved because, number one, you thought they was guilty because the white man said they was.
There it is. There it is.
Come on now.
That's all right.
And you're scared.
Come on now. That's it. That's it.
My question is, how are you going to get the horse back into the barn?
That's right.
These people's names have been tarnished, their reputation besmirched. They have been talked about, accused of different things, and now they are proven innocent. How are you going to get the horse back in the... How will you restore these people good name and reputation? How are we going to do that? We need to look at that and see what we can do to help them restore their good name. One thing that most people didn't understand, and I'm getting ready to close, were that when the G.B.R, the Secretary of State, canvassed the community, they tried to strike fear in the heart of the black community.
Woo! Yes, sir! Yes, sir! Yes, sir!
They didn't want you to vote.
That's right.
They especially didn't want you to vote absentee because those absentee ballots can be accounted for.
Yes, sir. Paper
That's
trail.
right.
This
Trail.
trial proved that there was corruption downtown.
That's right.
If it wasn't for the absentee ballots, it never would have been uncovered.
That's right.
Many people don't understand that when those incumbents were declared the winner that night and woke up and had lost the election that next day, it's because they didn't intend to count the absentee ballot.
That's right. That's right.
But God prevailed. Amen.
Amen.
The prosecution changed the wording on the ballots to prosecute Lula Smart. The language was not there in 2010. They changed it
My Lord, my Lord.
That's right.
on the ballot to make it look like she was guilty. The prosecution suppressed evidence.
Yes, sir.
They hid evidence.
Show they did. I'm a witness.
Amen. Show them. Speak it. Tell the truth.
I believe that we ought to demand, as concerned citizens,
Yes.
that they drop the charges on every remaining member. What's so amazing is that Sister Dana and all of the workers on the poll had been trained.
Yes.
They knew what to do. But yet they tried to make it look like they were incompetent. But God prevailed.
Amen.
Few of the fallacies of this trial, and then I'm going to sit down.
Amen.
And I don't know about you, but I got angry when I looked. I didn't even vote absentee ballot that time. And here come the G.B.R. and the Secretary of State knocking on my door.
Wow.
Wow.
But one thing that happened that most people don't understand is that you all shut them down.
Amen.
Amen.
You all shut them down. When you told them that we're not going to answer your question, we voted who we wanted to vote for, I did what I wanted to do, get out of my yard.
There it
We don't have to be afraid no longer.
is. All right. Amen.
It's so much I could go on, but I'm going to
Tell the story.
Jesus.
I'm going to yield. But there were so many fallacies.
Yes.
And I hope and pray that we all learn a lesson from this.
Yes.
That we're not going to let anybody come in our community and disrespect our people. These were the leading citizens of our community that they went after.
Amen.
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 If the head falls, the body, you kill the head, the body gonna die. Well, see, they didn't know Nancy Denham, and Nina, and Diane, Miss Troutman,
That's right.
and they didn't know.
They didn't know.
But I knew from the beginning, that they were innocent from the start. I don't know about you, but I grew up in the 50s.
That's right. Come on.
I was born in 1952. Amen.
Amen.
And I know the tactics of the other man. They'll do anything to win.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
But I want to say to you and to all of the people who prayed and supported the Quitman team. I know some of you wanted to be there, but you had to work. I know some of you could have been there, but you chose not to. But thank you for your prayers. Thank you for just putting them up before God.
Amen.
And allowing God to use them. Whether you know it or not, God used them.
Yes. Yes, he did. Yes,
There was a gentleman that called me from San Francisco. And he said, what in the world are y'all doing out there? He got on our organization, NAACP, because they didn't come here. I'm angry. Because the president of the NAACP didn't show his face.
Tell it.
And I'm angry.
Tell it.
Now he's writing all kind of articles. Want the equipment 10 plus 2 to come up there and talk. Where was he when they needed him the most? That's a little bit of the history, and I'm going to close with this. The Get Out the Vote campaign of the Equipment 10 plus those who helped was the most brilliant campaign I have seen in my life. People voted who had never voted before in their life.
Amen.
People who couldn't make it to the polls. And they got beat at their own game.
Come on, that's right.
Amen.
Amen.
It was a brilliant campaign. It was well planned, well organized. And many other communities are looking at what the Equipment 10 plus 2 did. And they are doing the same thing in their communities.
Of course.
So we say Equipment 10 plus 2, don't stop doing what you're doing.
Right now.
We're fast getting a new council.
Oh,
I told one of the white gentlemen that
yes.
he was wondering how did the mayor get beat. And I told him that everybody who touched Equipment 10,
Amen.
we
Look
was
out,
going
man.
after.
Look out! Look out! There it is!
Amen. I don't know about y'all, but you ain't gonna mess with no.
That if you are African American, and if you run for office, and if you honestly win the election, you will be punished.
And it looks as if though this is the mayor's office, and they seem to be.
This is the only place they get right now.
And they're changing the law. Go ahead, brother. Tim, with me. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, they won't let her in the other offices. They throw that over there.
Right.
They put her in this place, office over here. Now they're changing the locks on it. Now where she can't get in there.
Wow.
Now they canceled the meeting tonight.
Yeah.
At the last minute.
Have you ever seen anything like this before, man?
I never. You know they arrested the mayor though.
Yeah, I heard about that.
That disorder conduct.
Yeah. What did she do? You know?
I don't know, but you know, disorder conduct might be
Anything. That's right. Yeah.
It's a catch-22.
Right.
You know, unless you start cussing somebody or threatening, you know, violence or something, that's different. But Linda ain't done nothing. Linda did not do nothing.
Why you rating the state officials like the Secretary of State and the Attorney General and the Governor? I mean, they got the same problems in Gordon, Georgia.
I don't know why we can't get no help. I tell you, I ain't
never seen nothing like this before.
Mr. Willie Charles, how you doing?
Don't take it personal, bro. We understand.
Willie Charles?
Right, I'm going to join my job.
We know, we got you.
I hope you smile better because you're a better man than me. You're a good guy. And you need to do that. I need to show you're a good man. You're much better than this, Mr. Willie Charles. Much better. I know it, but he's still a better man.
And we can't, Governor Nathan Deal, Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, Attorney General Sam Olens, I just can't understand. Nobody in the state of Georgia will come down, and what are they waiting? Are they waiting for people to get violent? It seems like that might be what they're waiting on.
I don't know what they're waiting on either.
What do you think about it? You ever seen this before? What do you think about this?
I've never seen this in my life.
But what do you think about the mayor being arrested?
I'm shocked. I'm appalled. I'm embarrassed for me. I love this place. I mean, this is a good place. And the people here are good.
But had you ever seen this before?
Never.
Never.
Never. And I've lived in the city majority of my life, and I still haven't seen it. Still haven't seen it. I'm very embarrassed for me. I'm embarrassed at the personnel, the people, and how they're putting people in bad positions.
Thank you very much.
Honestly, win the election, you will be punished.
Okay, what are your name?
Hi, I'm Jody Williams. headed up by Dr. Joseph Lowry.
Something took place in the courtroom that got your interest, and you want to share that with the American people?
Sure I do. What has caught my attention is that some of the charges that they are charging Ms. Smart with have been taken off the books as long as 2 years ago. And they're charging her with crimes that are no longer on the books, that you can no longer charge someone with. So I really don't understand what this is all about. And then they've already dropped 7 of the charges because it has nothing to do with anything Ms. Smart did, which the agents who did the investigation found no crime that she committed. So another concern is, why are they wasting the taxpayers' money with this drawn-out court case which has no merits? So that was my interest today.
Okay, can you possibly, if you want to, share with me what is your analysis of why there's no news media? We're in the 14th day of this trial, and not one news media outlet, whether it's radio, television, or newspaper. Why do you think they're not here?
Well, there must be some unwritten something that these people don't want this widespread, any of this to get out, because this is how they're handling when blacks win elections. They're doing whatever it takes to have them removed, and then the governor would sign off on something like this. It is a shame. He should have done his investigation before signing off on something like this, but to me it's all about having blacks removed from office.
Do you think that by the state of Georgia, the G.B.R., the district attorney David Miller, and assistant attorney Brad Shealy, and along with the Secretary of State's office, do you believe that this whole saga with the equipment 10+2 and all these charges that we are finding out now is almost like zero? Do you think that that will stop people from voting, or do you think that would energize people to vote more? What do you think? What's your opinion on that?
Well, my opinion is, and going back to when they went into the people's homes, knocked on the door with their badges and their guns in their holsters, telling them that they wanted to ask them some questions. One thing they did not let the people know, that if they didn't answer the questions, no harm would come to them. No arrest, no trouble would come to them. They didn't make that known when they approached the people. And as a citizen, a black citizen of the state of Georgia, it bothers me if someone approached me with a gun and a badge requesting that I do something, you know. If I didn't know that I didn't have to comply, I would try to comply, even if I didn't want to, because I wouldn't want to be in any trouble. So I know older blacks, and most of these people were older blacks. They're frightened by law officials with guns that frightened them. So of course they was intimidated and threatened by the officers who knocked on their doors with no warning.
How did you take the repeated questions by the defense to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation agents about their training? Most of them had never done an absentee ballot investigation. Why do you think the state would send amateurs down to investigate something as serious at this dispensation as voting fraud along the lines of voting rights for black African Americans?
Well, I don't understand why they would send unexperienced people when the Secretary of State has their own agents and investigators who could have readily did this. And I do know by experience that one of the G.B.R. agents have in other cases threatened people, have even set them up, have even arrested people so that they could get information or intimidate them into giving false information. So I do know that firsthand. Miss Amy Braswell tactic, and one case in particular is the Reginald Rayshawn Shriver's case, a dog fighting case, which she picked up, who was considered a state witness in a drunken state, and intimidated him and badgered him into making false statements against another person who was in that trial.
Now, this is the Ghetto Free Press, and I wouldn't want you to make a statement that is not true. Now, what you just said, you know that's true?
I know that to be true. I was in on that particular case. I was acting as Mr. Shriver's advisor in this case.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other, you want to close us out with anything in particular?
I just want to tell the people, keep voting. Get out to vote. Make your voices heard so you'll have a stronger platform in any decision making in your county. So get out and vote.
All right, that's a good message. Once again, this is the Ghetto Free Press. George Boston Rhymes, doing what I do because somebody got to do it. Get ready, get ready, get ready.
And if you honestly win the election, you will be punished.
Once again, this is the Ghetto Free Press, and I'm George Boston Rhymes, and this is YouTube. I'm still in Lumpkin. I didn't know this was the county seat. But anyway, what's your name, my sister?
Mona Hubbard.
Mon Herbert?
Mona Hubbard.
Mona Hubbard, okay. I'm sitting here with Mona Hubbard, and she wanted to talk to me. She wanted to highlight some of the things that we can expect here in the city. Mayor Gibson told me that she would be a good citizen to speak, and that's why we're here. Tell me something about the city. Now, first of all, I heard that there's something that happened at the city with a city council member. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yes.
And then the pastor showed me this newspaper and showed me that I think one of the people in there is you.
Yes.
Which one is it? Right.
That's me right there.
Yeah, I thought right there. So in the headlines in the paper for my YouTube watch, it says, local NAACP calls for resignation of council member. Sworn statement alleges councilwoman Debbie Stone called Lumpkin mayor a nigger. You know anything about that?
Yes. This council person, this is not her first time referring to as black people as niggers.
Wait. Now you're talking this Councilman Stone.
Councilman
So what
Stone.
do you think about your council in particular? I mean, are they operating in a harmonious relationship? What's the deal on that?
I would say during a meeting, there's not a lot of argumentation between council members to say as such. But I would say that I do have council members that are, how do you want to put it, planning, constructing turmoil outside of the meeting, but asking citizens to come in, get on the agenda to create turmoil or just have an outburst during the meeting. And the reason I say that is because it seems to be the same few people that are actually, I say, have relationship with the city council members, that every meeting or every other meeting or so come on the agenda with a concern. But during that concern, they get disrespectful. I mean, I had one guy tell me, Mayor, your pay is coming. To me, that's a threat. I had one to tell me, you're an idiot. Both times, real loud.
Now this was after the meeting?
During the meeting. Stand up and walk and say, Mayor, you're an idiot.
Did you get control of the meeting, or did you have to have any type of law enforcement to assist you, or what happened with that?
At that point in time, my chief, here at this point in time, did get up and follow the gentleman outside because he was walking out when he stated that, and took care of the situation at that point in time. The one time when I was told that your day is coming, I had a different chief on, and this chief did not do anything. I mean, there have been some crowd getting loud where most of the time I could regain control of the meeting. Not been a point where we could not regain control. Right? I mean, just those outbursts that are seen to be constructed by some council members with the friends or associates that they have.
I already know we have problems in other cities. Now, this is more of a reason why the governor and the secretary of state and the attorney general needs to be here, if not the federal government, because you're dealing with civil rights here. So, what else happened other than this incident?
Well, she has made the comment, and people have heard her saying that she grew up calling black people niggas. So it's like, I would like to tell America to take off the blinders. I would like to tell Governor Deal and any of the people up there that we elected, they need to take the blinders off and come and see what's going on in their communities. Enough is enough, and that's it. We're not taking it anymore. I would like to tell America to take off the blinders. I would like to tell Governor Deal and any of the people up there that we elected, they need to take the blinders off and come and see what's going on in their communities. Enough is enough, and that's it. We're not taking it anymore. We're not going to take it sitting down.
He just told me to turn over my everything. I can't go back in my office to retrieve anything.
As mayor.
As mayor.
That's right. All I need is the keys.
The keys. The keys to City Hall.
All of it.
Okay.
Everything you have as being the mayor. If you got anything to the City Hall, the water department, police department, whatever, I need all the keys.
Okay.
Okay?
So now, hold on just a second. So now, what do I do? I'm going to get my stuff. Now, what we can do is, you can meet me there.
I'll go with you.
I'm George Boston Rhymes, as you can see. The news media wasn't out before, but they're definitely out tonight. And it all centered around getting her keys, turning in everything that she has to the city. And we all know that this is the same thing that has happened in Meigs, Georgia. Linda Harris, all of her. Again, I want to appreciate you. You are a prime example, in my most humble opinion. While we cannot hate one another because of the skin color, it's not about skin color. It's about what is right and wrong. I think perhaps that Jesus put it best, and I put it in my own words. Want for your neighbor that which you want, and have for yourself and your own children. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you.
in Los Angeles, California, Nashville, Tennessee, Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, Chicago,